Why would somebody turn a fruit into an insult? Seriously. Out of everything people eat, why watermelon? And why do so many stereotypes seem to appear right when a group starts succeeding, organizing, or demanding a fair shot? Most people think stereotypes just happen. A lot of them didn't, and once you see the pattern, it's hard to miss. Let's start with the watermelon one. After slavery ended, many black Americans began growing and selling watermelon. It was cheap to grow, easy to transport, and people bought it. For a lot of families, it meant something new: their own income, their own business, their own independence. Then something strange happened. Newspapers, postcards, advertisements, cartoons, minstrel shows, watermelon suddenly started appearing everywhere. Not as a symbol of freedom, as a joke. Think about that. Nobody spends that much effort mocking something that doesn't matter. The fruit wasn't the problem. What it represented was the symbol came first, the insult came later. Before anyone thinks this only happened to minorities, here's one aimed at white Americans: the hillbilly stereotype: barefoot, toothless, inbred, too dumb to know better. You've seen that character in movies, television shows, and jokes for decades. But where did he come from? In the late 1800s and early 1900s, coal and timber companies pushed deep into Appalachia. Land changed hands, resources changed hands, money changed hands. At the same time, newspapers and outsiders were painting mountain communities as backward and ignorant. Think about the timing. If people are too foolish to understand what's happening, then taking their land, labor, and resources starts looking a lot less ugly. The stereotype didn't just make people laugh, it made exploitation easier to ignore. Different target, same trick. Now let's look at one that sounds positive. Asians are good at math. Quick question: if that trait is supposedly natural, why wasn't that stereotype common before America started selecting highly educated immigrants from Asia? In 1965, immigration laws changed. Doctors, engineers, scientists, highly educated professionals were given preference. So America brought in a population that was already unusually educated. Then politicians pointed at that success and said, "See, they made it." Sounds harmless, but there was a second part nobody says out loud. If they made it, what's everybody else's excuse? That's what gave the stereotype its power. It wasn't really about math, it was about comparison. A stereotype can sound positive and still be doing work. Here's another one you probably heard. Black people can't swim. But here's the part most people never hear. During the early 1900s, public swimming pools opened across the country. Black Americans were routinely excluded. Then courts started ordering cities to integrate those pools. You'd think cities would just comply. Some literally drained the pools or shut them down instead. No access, no lessons. One generation that can't swim often raises another that never learned either. That wasn't a swimming problem, it was an access problem. One more: the guy sleeping under a cactus wearing a sombrero. Early 20th century postcards loved that image. American media kept it alive. Now ask yourself something: who benefits from calling workers lazy? The workers or the people paying them? Because Mexican labor helped build railroads, farms, ranches, mines, and cities across the American Southwest. The stereotype says lazy. The history says something else. And if a worker is naturally lazy, paying him less starts looking justified. That's why these stories matter. Not because they're accurate, because they're useful. Useful to somebody. By now, you may be noticing something. These stereotypes don't even agree with each other. One group is supposedly lazy, another is supposedly too ambitious, one group is too dumb, another is too smart. Yet somehow they keep showing up when somebody needs a story told. Watermelon, hillbillies, swimming, math, a man sleeping beside a cactus. Different groups, different places, different time periods, but the pattern keeps showing up. A stereotype appears when a group gains something, or when somebody wants an excuse for how they're treating that group. Sometimes it's punishment, sometimes it's justification, sometimes it's both. So next time you hear a stereotype, don't start by asking whether it's true. Ask where it came from, ask when it showed up, ask who benefited from people believing it, because stereotypes usually tell you less about the people being described and a lot more about the people spreading the story. If you learned something, share this with somebody who thinks stereotypes just appeared out of thin air.